So we have got episode 6 of CP Live. Joined by Eddie Bailey today, who is one of the new CP coaches. And the topic today is kind of diet into suboptimal body composition. I thought this was a good one because, for starters, Eddie's just gone through his first proper dieting phase. He's just done a photo shoot. Obviously, Ben Bray's top shredder. Anyway, can get lean in about four weeks, and I'm on a little bit of a diet as well. So I thought it'd generally be a good topic to kind of talk about, just in respect of kind of what to expect as a starting point, tips for the best starting point, and then just generally people get kind of stuck. There's a big difference between getting lean and then getting to suboptimal body composition. So suboptimal body fat. So suboptimal basically means where it's not very healthy. Obviously, you've got lean and then you've got shredded. And the difference between just kind of getting lean and getting shredded is a totally different ball game altogether. And what often people will do is they don't set a good enough starting point to the point where their body will start to fight against them getting to that real lean stage, or the mind will. So there's kind of some tips on what to do on that respect. So we'll kind of shoot through. Best way to start this. So Eddie, what, in your experience, how did you find your first ever real prep, just so you say?
Yeah, it was something different. That obviously, like say you mentioned that difference between getting lean and then getting super lean. It was tough. Yeah, it was tough. It gets to a point where it's right, this is hard. And I think anyone that's going to do it, you need to sort of definitely be prepared to realize how hard it is, because it's 24. What I didn't realize is it is literally 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Your sleep's got to be on point. Literally everything across the board has to be on point. You can't mess up one thing. That's probably why it's hard, because there's always, I found that there's always something in the back of your mind, what time are you going to eat this meal, just in case you're hungry. I need to get X amount of sleep. I need to monitor this. I need to do that. So yeah, like I say, it's tough, but I feel like you do get used to it once you've been doing it for a while. It's like anything really, but yeah, it's definitely something that if you are going to do it, you need to consider everything going on in your sort of life.
We had obviously I prepped Eddie for his shoot. They were Eddie got into shape for a photo shoot, but I remember I said to him, right, the difference in where you are right now compared to if you're doing a comp, you'd be at, I would have said it'd need to be at least 7 kg lighter than it actually was on the shoot, and that is obviously a totally different ball game altogether. Ben Bray's absolute, I think out of all, I've been lean before. I've obviously competed before, but not in terms of when Ben did 2 bros, he was just absolutely disgusting. And he also, this is a good point, because Ben did this in 7 weeks, which is, we can actually bounce off this one and talk about how it was the least optimal starting position ever, really.
Yeah, I just got back off holiday, and I ate what I want, drank what I want, and dropped the news that I wanted to do a show in 7 weeks. So I think from that experience, it was an aggressive approach, when cardio was sky high, food was minimal. And I think for that, I weren't really prepared for what I was going to feel like. I'd done shows where essentially the last 3 weeks were really tough, and mentally you're a little bit snappier, you're shorter, your fuse is shorter, your mood dips, energy certainly dips. But for that full, I'd say 5 weeks of that 7, I was a person that I didn't even know I had inside me. I really pulled it off. Yeah, and to get that lean, like you said, Ben, it's not sustainable long term. You can't really maintain it. But from that experience, it definitely a learning curve for people and clients who potentially come to me with that kind of time frame. You've just got to hit them with everything, haven't you, if they're willing to do it. But ultimately, it was a learning curve to say, look, is it the right approach for people coming on board? If there's 7 weeks, do you want to do it like that, or would you rather take a more phased approach? And I think the phased approach would be my preference if I was to come on board as a client with that approach now.
Because like when I did, well, if everyone's seen kind of my journey last year, I kind of stopped training, stopped eating, stopped kind of doing everything to focus on the businesses. And I went into the photo shoot prep and don't get me wrong, it was a freakish transformation in the time. But I kind of knew at a certain point, right, there's only so far that I can take this. Like I knew that I'd be able to get lean, but I said to these, I went, I'm not going to be getting as lean as I'd like to be. My body thing is when I started on low food rather than starting on high food. I started on low motivation, started on low performance. So like there's just only so far you can kind of take low food before your body just goes right now. Or like for example, where cravings become a bit too much, and it was quite. It were a bit. Put it this way: next time it'll be a different story. But what people don't understand is it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what your starting point is. There will be a certain point where you will get hungry, you will get tired. Do people think that right? So basically, in the most basic terms, if you want to get as lean as possible, you've got to make sure that you are in a optimal position where you've got enough muscle, you're eating enough food, you're in the highest performance that you've ever had, probably the lowest expenditure that you've ever had. You've got a decent starting position with overall body composition. You're in a stress-free environment, which is pretty much the total opposite of what I did and what Ben did for his actual comp that time. But what people think is, right, just because you start in a better position, the moment that you get to the point of suboptimal body fat, it don't matter what the starting point is. Once you are in that physiological zone, it's fucking hard regardless. Yeah, you might actually be eating. So for example, if you've laid out a fantastic foundation at the start, you're going to look a lot better because you're going to be eating 800 to 1,000 grams more, 1,000 calories more on those days. You're probably going to have to do less cardio, but it's still just as fucking hard because it's the moment you get to that, is your body is just absolutely craving energy.
Yeah. You've got to be mentally switched on as much as you can. That's the thing, like physically, I don't know, because obviously I've played sport like my whole life. So like physically, I think like I'm sort of pretty tuned to that sort of stuff, but mentally, the sort of pretty much every day, as soon as you wake up from minute one, you've got to be switched on because like, you can let sort of cravings and stuff like that. I thought that was the hardest bit. But it definitely,
it's on your mind, isn't it? It's on your mind. Like for example, my Instagram feed goes from photos of I'm not going to say what my Explore page is usually full of, but when I'm on prep, what tends to happen is it's usually full of desserts and other types.
I bet that's a fucking interesting mix. Have I got your phone? I'll have a look at that. I'm so. Do you know what? This is what I said. I'm weird, me, when it comes to. I don't mind like suffering. I don't really care about that. And I don't really actually get hungry. So I remember when I was saying, like, Ben, what are you feeling? And like, you got any cravings? And I'm like, I'm not asked. I'm not asked at all.
That's
in any way, shape, or form.
I don't get that.
I don't. I literally we're obsessing over cakes, everything. Like
even now, I always think about food.
Even after the shoot, I was like, we were driving back from London, like getting the food, and I weren't asked at all. My issue is I could fast from until 3-4 o'clock, no problem. The moment it gets to 9 o'clock, fucking, and I'm not talking Cookie Monster. I'm talking I would go into the fridge at like 12 o'clock at night and eat raw broccoli. Like it would just that's what it did. Honestly, that's what it did me. Like I'd go to bed, I'd lay there and I'd be like, right, yeah, I feel sound with this. Yeah, I'm gonna go to bed, and it's just like I'd shoot up 3 hours later. And I'm like, food, and it wouldn't. But no cravings at all. It was just that night, like daytime when I'm conscious and I'm fine. I weren't asked. It's like the moment my body just laid down, relaxed, and I'm not joking. I used to have to. This is every single time I've dieted to get really lean as well. Middle of the night. That is where I'd have the highest. I would not crave food at any point, but I'd wake up middle night and I'd be like, and I'm not joking, it'd almost feel ravenous. I used to have to, it was almost like an Achilles heel, because what I'd have to do is I'd wake up at middle night and think, fuck, I'm going to go and eat. eat fridge. Get everything secure. I used to have to actually leave a little bit of yogurt in a bowl to eat at night, but then I think, right, I can't do that. So I'd smash loads of water. Then 2 hours later, I'd wake up needing a piss, and I'd be wanting to eat again because I'd be awake.
Yeah,
I'm nocturnal when it comes to dieting. It's a weird one for me.
That is a bit weird.
It's person dependent as well, isn't it? If you're working with clients, like you'll diet 10 clients down, and I think all those 10 will be different. They'll all get different cravings. They'll all be able to manage a certain amount of food. They'll all expect different levels of expenditure. They'll all manage it mentally different. So I think each person will get a different experience, but nevertheless, it's the same mental process, isn't it? And the same bollocks required to get you to that spot.
Yeah, there's just so many variables involved with getting lean. Like, again, if you start on higher food, then you are going to have a upregulated metabolic rate. You're going to have better performance. You have better motivation. You're going to generally have less cravings in general starting off point. And obviously the performance factor, like if you, in terms of how easy it is to get lean, some people can get a lot leaner than others. Some people, again, like, it's not a taboo topic, some people will use fat loss assistance. And it's like when people turn around to me and go, when you're trying to get really, really lean, people go, right, oh God, like, for example, you've got everything. You've got your Himbine, you've got clenbuterol, you've got whatever type of fat burners out there. And people try and turn around and go, oh God, they're really bad for you. And my response every time is, what's worse, either dietary and training induced stress, or you might have a little bit of a higher resting heart rate and blood pressure because you're taking fat loss assistance. Because what that will do is it might take that 5% edge off, where people think, right, yeah, well, it's cheating, or it's bad for you. When in reality, if you, for example, you're trying to get real lean, you will have to do more cardio. You will have to go low food. That will create a substantial amount more stress than if you didn't. And this is kind of where I say, when people go, right, I want to do a photo shoot, I want to compete, and I'm like, right, if like, for example, I've done it, I've competed totally naturally before, and obviously not. And I remember the difference between totally natural with no fat loss assistance, no anything, and it, Jesus Christ. I mean, when I'm talking suffering, I'm talking I had to literally go and sleep in the night. I had to have to go. This is back when I was PTing loads as well, quite young as well. But you know what the thing is? I did actually get absolutely shredded that first time around, but because I put myself into that absolute zone of absolutely hammering myself.
I think that. Sorry,
go on, Eddie. It's fine.
I was gonna say that zone is like when you, I don't know, I found sort of like it is really it's a proper selfish sort of stage in it. Like if you're doing a prep for a shoot or a like say a comp, you've just got to completely focus on you. Like yeah. I didn't really, I sort of, I'm like all or nothing. So I had to sort of zone everything else out, or else if I lose focus in one, like say going out or something like that, it'll mess something up. So I think you've got to consider that if you're going to do it. Like it's got to be, you got to think about that. Like,
yeah, you've got to be. This is where I turn around and say, like, look, I reckon Bray will compete again. Definitely, he'll get bored and he'll get to a point he'll want to do it. I definitely want to. The thing is, I've never actually competed where I've created an optimal starting point, and that's the main focus that I want to do towards back end of next year. But it's a case of you've got to be. When I say like people who like bodybuilders, for example, I'm not a bodybuilder. I'm someone who wants to compete and I want to kind of challenge myself, but I'm not a bodybuilder, like a competitive, someone who do it long term. Those people, in my opinion, are slightly psychopaths, because I just and I mean this in the most biggest. I respect when people go, oh, bodybuilding, but like I respect it fucking on a massive level. Someone who can actually commit themselves to that year in, year out, and not even look twice at anything else. It takes a serious amount of commitment. Like I've worked with like professional athletes and stuff like that, and like in terms of boxers, triathletes, stuff like that, I've still rarely ever met anybody in sport with the absolute obsessive mindset that people in bodybuilding and competing do. And it's easy to turn and go, oh yeah, it's the boring, this and that. The mental like focus and such thing is very, it's ridiculously impressive.
It's all year though, isn't it? It's literally all year. So it's not just a prep. It's you got an off season as well, but you got to focus everything. Even the same markers have got to be focused on, like recovery. You can't, you still got. There's just as much focus has to go into. You're not just slamming a load of Mackies back and stuff like that. So it is.
You look at us three, and people probably look at us three and be like, "Oh, you're so committed," and we are. Like, eat, sleep, and breathe it. It's as businesses, but the times we're committed fully is in a dieting phase, because then when the diet's over, we'll Saturday night I can go out with lads, or I can eat this. And as a full-time bodybuilder, you look at the top ones across the country, and that switch is always on, in it. Whether it's a diet season, they're constantly looking to progress continuously. And I think people do brand it boring, but essentially there's very few people who can commit to that level of dedication, I think. So fair play to them.
I think it depends on what level you want to get, doesn't it? As in, like, what level you want to get to. Like, if you ever watch like people on YouTube who want to get like to the IFBB pro standard and stuff like that, you do sort of have to dedicate everything to it, don't you?
Yeah, but they're also the people, and it sounds like it doesn't make it easy, but the people who will say, for example, if you strang one together 7-week comp prep versus a 7-year back-to-back comp prep, how those people will find it pretty much effortless to get into shape, because they are just the body is so responsive, they're that disciplined, and they're just basically in this position where they can manipulate any variable they want. So every time, this is why when I just put a post up about this last night, the more that you do this, so for example, you go into a dieting phase, you come out controlled into a improvement off season, whatever you want to call it, back into dieting phase, every single time you will come back more conditioned with more muscle and looking better, because it's just this repetitiveness. It's not a case of they are killing themselves even more to get lean. They're actually killing themselves even less because they've controlled that many variables before. Whereas when it's the uncontrolled variables, what will create instability when it comes to a dieting period. So like that's my aim at the moment. Yeah, I love a social occasion every so often. Don't get me wrong, I don't enjoy it as much as I used to. I'm 20. Jesus, I'm 27 in August. That's old, isn't it?
That's why we brought Eddie on. We can't do it anymore.
Yeah, I can't. I can't hack it, me. Do you know what? I will make the most amount of progress that I will do in the next 2-3 years, simply because I like my just day to day. Every so often, go out and do it, but like it's you kind of get to the point where you've put that to the back of your mind. But the differences between a social occasion and like if you want to be really getting absolutely shredded is. It's not just about going out and having a few drinks. It's about, right, for example, I might see a bit of food and go, oh, well, I might try a tiny bit of that. I remember, this is a good one. I remember last year we were doing Christmas dinners, and Kuba weren't even on prep. I weren't even on anything. And we did this honey roast gammon. And I'm not joking. I've never smelt or tasted anything as good in my life. And I just stood there like that. And he actually walked past and went, "What the fuck is that?" And I went, a bit of gammon. And I went, "I'll have a bit." And he was like, "No, I can't." And I was like, "They're good." I'm like, it's crispy. It's Christmas, and there's the nicest piece of gammon you've ever seen in your life there, and you're not even on prep. And you're like, "No, I can't," because it's that level of that's the difference. Yeah. And this is where people will turn around and go, right, yeah, I'm going to get shredded. But there's a difference between getting lean and getting shredded. There's a massive difference. And like I said, it all comes from that being in an optimal environment at all times. Like, I think the biggest thing that people disregard is, so I've dieted. I've been doing it 8 years. I've got lean quite a few times. If you are in a stressful this is probably, you know what, if there's one tip I could say to anyone who's going to go into like a dieting phase and want to get as lean as they can, you have to be in the least stressed environment as humanly possible. And I'm talking, if you have arguments with your missus and you want to get lean, get yourself moved out for a month, because one, it's probably going to save your relationship, and two, if you're constantly stressed all the time, your body goes into fight or flight response. You've got water retention. You start getting stressed. You get extra food going in, and it's just, and this is down to everything. Like stress will control how lean you get. So, for example, when you go into like the back end of like a comp prep or shoot and stuff like that, like the last 2-3 weeks, I see people doing it as like a proper crash landing. It's like, bang, I've got to absolutely smash myself into that. If you want to look very, very good and get very, very lean, you want to be as absolutely zen as possible. In those last few weeks, you don't want to be doing all your cardio. You want to be doing as minimal cardio as possible, because that's just going to create dietary-induced stress. You don't want to be eating, obviously, the point where you're going to have to eat pretty much naff all. But you don't want to be running that all the way into the comp. You want to be slowly coming out of it. And this is what people don't understand. Like, people think that when it comes to getting lean, it's like, right, I've got to hammer myself. Whereas in actual fact, that's a total opposite of what you want to do. You want to be as steady and as chilled as is humanly possible from start to finish.
Yeah, that's what I always explain to my clients. Yeah. Like, my clients comes to me and they fill the consultation out, and their short-term goal is to lose body fat or get lean. And I start them off, I work the calories out, and for example, the maintenance are at 3,000. I start them a little bit above, and they're like, why am I eating this much food straight away? And within the first week, they drop because the water comes straight off. And then you've got the longevity of the plan, haven't you? You start, first 2 weeks, you won't need to do anything naturally. The scale weight will decline, body fat will, and then you can start implementing cardio, increasing steps and reducing food. And you've got many more tools to play with, haven't you? Whereas if you start them off on low, you've got nowhere to pull or push. Yeah. So that's what I explain to them.
Yeah, the thing is, when it comes to fat loss approaches and stuff like that, there's so many different ways to do it, but there's also, every single person is absolutely totally different. So like, there's some people who I will go in quite aggressive at the start. There's some people who I won't. And it's like, if you're a coach and you're basically lining your client up, you will, like, a lot of it is trial and error. And again, the longer you work with someone, you know, right, this is the best way to go about it. Like, some people, well, if you turn around to like one client and go, right, you've got to eat this, bang, 7 days per week, they're going to be like, well, that's the best way to go about it. But they're going to be like, oh, well, I want to have a meal at a weekend. Or if they don't have that meal at weekend, they're just constantly thinking about it, so they have it anyway. So there's some people who I will go a little bit more aggressive during the week with refeeds. There's some people who I won't give refeeds to, because the moment they have one refeed, they start smashing everything under the sun. Like, again, I think that's what Ben like you like a little bit. Once you ate something, you wanted more. That's right, isn't it? It's a long time for that.
Cereal box at half 1, mate. Then I'll buy half for an hour.
It is. But this is what I'm trying to say. Like, if you go to try and get lean, you've got to take everything into consideration. Take your environment into consideration. Like, it's almost a selfish thing to do, right? Getting lean is easy. Like, I don't care what someone, like, if your friends and family and stuff like that can't accept that you want to actually get into decent shape, and it might require you not having that muffin at your grandma's, or it might require you not having 10 pints and you're having 5 gins instead, then they're just dickhead mates. So it's like, you don't need that. But the difference between getting lean and suboptimal body composition is, it is selfish. You will literally eliminate your social life pretty much. You will have to eliminate time spent with friends, family, partners. You will eliminate the energy and personality that you actually have to give to other people. That's the hardest thing for me, is when I kind of don't. To be fair, like, this is weird. But I didn't get shredded last time. That's the difference. The last time I dieted, I actually was better because I was in such a good routine.
Yeah, a good way to explain it is when you're that far into the prep or the diet, you're technically in the room, but you're not, are you? Like, from a mental standpoint, like, you are stood in that room, people can see you, but your head's just not there, is it? You're just getting that done. You're seeing it as like, for example, when I used to go to the gym, I'd walk in the gym and I'd know, right, mentally, I don't want to be here, but I've got to get this done. Yeah. So I've got to get in, get out. Everybody else doesn't matter. The surroundings don't matter. And you get people coming up to you in your gym, and it's the last thing you want in it, because your social skills, your energy stores are all just absolutely smashed. So
I don't think I can remember like the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Yeah,
I can't even. I can remember the last couple of days leading up to it, but like I can't remember thinking on like the third 3 weeks out, thinking, "Oh, this is X day away." It's just robotic. Boom, boom. Get this done. Get this done.
Yeah. There were a point where they were all like thinking, "Shall I proper hammer him into it?" And I'm thinking, but it's like the first time you do. There'll come a point where like Eddie's like, oh, I don't want to do that, or like there'll come a point where in a year's time you'll be like, I want to do it again, and I want to get leaner. It's like the first time. This is the first time you kind of do it. Like he's experienced it now, and the next time he knows that right. That's how I felt. Right, I've got to kind of push it past that point, and there'll be a much better starting position. Do you know what a good topic is to talk about? What to expect, right? When you're dieting and you're dieting really hard, what to expect with people. So people will come up to you and go, "Oh, you're looking a bit skinny," and you're like, and it's one of the things where you're just like, I'm actually trying to look good on stage and on a photo shoot, muscly, and you're coming up to me going skinny, or they'll come up and go, "Oh, you're right, like you oh God, you're snappy," and you're just stood there, not even like you're just like this, there, and it's like it's just stuff that you've got to take into consideration because you're doing something which is kind of out of the actual norm.
Yeah, and I think when you've got to consider where you are as well and take those comments on chin, because when, like I said, I worked in a corporate environment where bodybuilding were absolutely nothing. I was the only person in that full office out of 200 people who went to the gym. So when they see me all year round, nice bright red cheeks, smiley, and then all of a sudden I walk in office, cheeks are dialed in. I've got a belt wrapped around my waist 5 times to get it on smallest setting. Trousers fall off, my shirts are baggy. They don't hesitate to throw comments at you, and you've got to be built of strong stuff to manage them, because when they say, "Jesus, you look tired. What's up with you? You look starving," and it's like,
"Oh, you look ill."
Yeah, you look ill, and then you're in canteen, and all you want to do is enjoy that little bit of food and not talk to anyone. And they're talking to you, saying, "Oh, do you want a burger?" And it's like that. That's really testing stuff. So
yeah, I think that is definitely that's the hardest thing, when everyone around you doesn't really like no one. If I don't know, it's like literally when if your mates as well, like even your mates, because they don't really get it. So it is tough, like maybe like watching them like go out and stuff, and then people start thinking you're a weirdo because you just sort of like all you do is go to the gym, get on your cardio bike, eat whatever, and then but once you're like out of it,
the one thing I'll say that if and this goes for this goes for anyone who puts themselves on a diet or wants to get lean, don't bitch about it. Like this is what that one thing I start saying to people is like, right, you have directly created this goal yourself. This is something you want to do. You understand how you are going to feel at some point. If you then go and you bitch and you moan and constantly, it's not only going to affect how disciplined you are and how motivated you are, but from an outside perspective, everyone's kind of looking at you going, "You're doing this to yourself, and you're complaining about it, and you're being a dickhead with us." And it's just, and genuinely, it's a good point to make that, because you will naturally want to do that. It is like, there's been times where I've just been like, someone's just looked at me and I'm like, "Oh my God, I want to rip your face off." Yeah. And you can't, and you can't, because, and you've just got to go, you've do you know, like, for example, when I am quite like, I will always say like hello to people in the gym. I walk past, like I'm even when I go walking dogs, I'm always like, "Oh, you're right," like kind of chatty. What imagine how, I think it's some people are rude as fuck and they don't even do that, but imagine how you are there and you've got to put 10 times more effort into simply just being a compatible human being in society. That's kind of because if not, you just come across like an absolute dickhead. And that's one thing I don't like, is when people choose to go into that, and then they complain about the process and they treat other people really, really differently. Like I remember, I said to Stacey in this last, and then to be fair, I would properly. Do you know what? The only time I was stressed is when things weren't kind of going right with my body at that point, because like I said, I got to a point where my body was like, "Nah, I've had enough now." My head had enough. That's the only time I was stressed, but there was never a point where like this, and I've done this in the past though. This is me saying from experience. First time I've dieted, I remember I was an awful person to be around. And I remember I was absolutely awful. And I remember actually coming out of that and thinking, And I actually think I didn't do a diet for about 18 months after that because I thought I don't want to treat people like that. But then as I got older and a little bit more in control of my emotions, to say the least, I realized that you can do it. It's just a case of it's your choice to either be civil, be nice, and make that effort. And also just always remember, like, look, you are deciding to do this.
Yeah.
And we're not trying to put people off doing it because, like I said, it's class. But there's a lot more to take into consideration when people could like jump on. And this is a case of, say, for example, you get someone in general population who comes in and wants to get lean. They will experience stuff like this on like quite a micro level, but because they've not experienced it before, it's like it's really, really elevated. So I say the exact same to someone who in joke saying, right, if you want to get lean, this is the type of stuff that you can experience, and you've just got to simply go through it. But it's easy. It's easy. Like top tips for fat in terms of trying to get lean, pushing fasting periods is mad easily the top tip to basic diet compliance. Stupidly high water intake, White Monster, Diet Coke, water, veg volume, starting on high enough food enough to start off with. Choice of cardio. This is a bit of a topic. So, for example, I'm much more of a fan of low impact cardio when looking at getting really lean. But I know some people who aren't. Like, for example, if I rarely will ever turn around to someone and go and tell them to smash themselves on a Stairmaster. It works. Oh my, like, yeah, you'll get lean, but it's just like this. I always find myself personally with clients is the moment I start doing that, it affects how I perform in the gym. It affects how tired I am for the rest of the day. Whereas my philosophy and strategy is, right, you want expenditure which will have the least detrimental effect on anything else during the day. So, for example, you've got cardio to do. You've got a choice to either do it as like a high impact. So, like, I personally would always go for a bike and steps over. I mean, the best way to describe this is if you want to get someone really, really lean, don't get them doing sled pushes and sprints.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? So like, but there's a difference between sled pushing and sprints, and then you've got like trying to think Stairmaster and running, for example. I generally wouldn't do it because it's like the Stairmaster is nowhere near as bad, but it is rough. But like running, for example, the impact of that on your posterior chain, your central nervous system, the motivation it takes to actually do that. So it's a case of, right, I always say to them, if I'm going to get them really lean, right, you need to have some form of exercise bike or cross trainer at home, which you can literally get onto it with your slippers on and just knock your expenditure out where, yeah, you're going to be burning calories and you're going to be moving, but it's not going to absolutely wipe you out at the same time when things do start to get tough.
And from a recovery perspective, you probably want to separate your cardio as far away from your resistance training as possible as well. I'd always recommend. That's what I find works for me.
Ben made a really good point on his YouTube the other day, and this because of a rule of thumb. If someone is going to, and I will literally tell people not to train. If someone goes into a dieting phase, they 100% in every way, shape, or form do not want to be. And I think that during lockdown, I had to train in the morning. And I experienced this on a rough level. If you are getting real, real lean and you wake up faster and try and train, you are not going to perform in any way, shape, or form. You need to be getting up, fasting period with your cardio, with steps, and then training later on after at least 2-3 meals.
And it's such a negative start to day in it as well. So training shit, so that your mindset shit. So definitely avoid that.
I think fasted cardio is the worst thing. It just like that for me was, I just doesn't agree. It was that getting up and going, oh God, I got to do 45 minutes on that bike. I'd play FIFA and
I find it right easy, me fasted.
It's good for routine though, I think, really, when you're dieting.
Yeah.
I do it now.
Shower straight into workload. But for me, it worked perfect because and I think for you, it did bend in it because it was time to get up, reply to clients, do your cardio, get a shower, straight into work. So it was like that separation period. But I know what you mean from a mental standpoint. It can be like, first thing you've got to do is jump in.
Yeah, it sets your day up really well. But then, like, I'm always looking at the watch, like, come on, like what is going on here?
Oh yeah, you get to.
Yeah.
This is why I try my best to. So even at the moment, I'm on a bit of a diet. I've dropped like 4.5 kg in 2 weeks. That's how quick it is. But all I've done is got back into training later on in the day. I walk the dogs in the morning, do 5,000 steps, come back, do 20 minutes on bike, which is just there, and then start work. And I actually love it. Because I'm like, right, I go there, right now I'm going to work from like until 7 while 1 or 2. And then I don't really work for it. I might do a bit later on, but then you go to the gym, you take your time at the gym as well, because there's nothing worse than like trying to rush a session. You try and train in the morning, you're thinking, shit, I've got this to do with work. Because when it comes to getting real lean, like performance is absolutely everything. The moment that performance drops, your condition will drop, your attention to muscle mass will drop, and even fat loss will definitely drop, because you haven't got the expenditure from the intensity that you normally would do from performing at a good level. So like if you're going, right, I want to get real lean, it's a case of, right, I'm trying to think, we'll do this as a free priorities. Performance would be number one if you want to get lean, or in general. I'd say that expenditure would be next. I'd put expenditure actually before diet, because if you haven't got that expenditure, you've got to go lower on your diet, which is not what you want to do for muscle retention. Then obviously it'd be generally your nutrition, makeup and stuff like that. And then number 4, it'd just be absolute utter consistency. That's like what I'd probably name.
Yeah. I always spoke a lot about the negatives, and obviously there are quite a few negatives, like what everything we spoke about, but like positives wise, the discipline it gave me, like I was absolutely bulletproof during that like stage.
Yeah.
Like once you're deep into it, like across business, across everything. And like now, like say I've obviously been enjoying some time off, well not time off, but as in like just chilling out a bit, eating right a bit there, maybe not eating right the other side. And I was like, right, okay, we'll probably like pull it back a bit. I did like a day on reduced calories, then smash a load of cookies the next day. So it's like that discipline that you have during that stage is just it just spreads across everything. I thought it was really good.
I'm better, but I'm actually I'm better in business and better as a person in general. When you get to that point of right, so when I'm dieting to get lean, that is when I am the best. I'm best at feeling myself. I'm the best in my business. I'm best for kind of everyone around me. You get to that point where, again, suboptimal body fat is a different story. But like the routine, and like the thing is, like the moment that you I'm not gonna do it. I'm gonna do a video on this soon. Like in terms of people say like what is motivation? Like I class motivation very, very similar to happiness. Like, and if the more motivated that you are, the generally the happier that you feel. And if people turn around, right, how do you be happy all the time? You can't be fucking happy all the time. It's impossible. The same as you can't motivate all the time. So like, if you want to achieve like a level of motivation, level of happiness, like I'm not a psychologist, but it's small micro achievements on a day-to-day basis, which will create more motivation, which will then will create more happiness. So if you look at it from one end of the spectrum, who are the people who are the least motivated and least happy? They're the people who are totally bedbound. They don't want to leave the house. They're really, really low. So then you've got the people on the other end of the spectrum who have got up, they've brushed their teeth, they have eaten this meal, they've taken those supplements, they've walked the dogs, they've hit this water, they've done the work tasks. And it's these micro mini achievements where people go, this makes me feel good. And but the thing is, when you go into a diet, what you do is you get your normal day-to-day generally waking up and functioning as a human being. But on top of that, you go, right, well, I've stuck to my diet, I've stuck to water intake, I've stuck to my supplements, I've stuck to my cardio, I've performed well. Shit, and I've done all my work as well, and I've got all this time left in the day. And it is an absolute it's an incredible feeling, like just having that daily routine. And the thing is, what happens is when people come out of being real lean, they come out like post-show, post-shoot and stuff like that, or even a client who does a transformation, they come out and go, oh God, I've not lived. And they go, bang, 48-hour bender, bang, free things, bang. Oh, right, I've not trained. And then like, I'm not joking, within 7 to 10 days, you're like, no, I'm not about this life. Like I feel shit. Yeah. And it's this yo-yo cycle. Like So I track, like I said, because I've obviously got I've got a couple of events and nights out and stuff like that. I ain't got much. I've obviously got my birthday party where us three were having this first drink together.
What day is that?
My birthday is 15th, so 14th for August, isn't it? I'm hoping that obviously we've got a Fit Expo. For people watching, it's been quite an emotional experience. I've had a kitchen renovation going off my house for about 3 months, and it's finally done. So we're actually going to have like an actual decent little house party with some CP coaches and friends, and I'm hoping that I get to go on holiday a few days afterwards, COVID depending. But yeah, but it's a case of you look forward to stuff like that. So it's like I know right now. So I've got 4.5 kgs. It's the 23rd of July. Another 3 weeks. I could probably do another 3-4 kg, and I guarantee you I'll be feeling absolutely mint. And I guarantee you, the moment it comes to my birthday, and I've probably gone away for a few days, I'll come back and go, "Oh God, I want my routine back. I want work back."
Yeah,
100%. So as much as we turn around and go, "Oh yeah, like getting lean is this and that," that's not what we're talking about. Is suboptimal body fat is a totally different ball game to just getting lean. And if you do go for that type of goal, you've got to have those expectations. But if you're trying to get lean, the same starting point and the same things apply. You've just got to expect it. Like the grass isn't always green on the other side, but when it comes to actually staying in shape and like being like in a position of like optimal body composition, being responsive to training, responsive to food, it 100% is greener. This is why when people go into like an off season, you'll actually find that if you did a lot of studies, people's mental health in off seasons will 100% be worse off than people who are kind of in like a prep style approach because they've got that freedom to abuse themselves sometimes.
Yeah,
If that makes sense. I think that makes sense. It sounds right. So yeah, wrap up on kind of a load of stuff there. Suboptimal body fat, getting lean, kind of what to expect from a psychological perspective, a little bit of touch on what to actually do with an optimal starting point. And yeah, I don't think there's anything else to cover. We'll leave it there.
Awesome.
Right. I hope I don't see you for a few weeks, you two.
See you later.